Be like me trying to correct a guy that's, been. Is he 6'3"?
For just the second time in school history, OSU welcomes an HBCU as the Buckeyes host Grambling State. Two teams packed with historical relevance.
The national champions prevail.
The Scarlet and Gray are back on top of the nation after a season-opening win against Texas. But there's work to be done and improvements to be made. We're expecting this game to be over by halftime, but once halftime comes, we're expecting a heck of a show as the greatest bands in college football share the stage. Tradition and history on display at Ohio Stadium as the Buckeyes host Grambling State. The football fever starts right now. Good morning and welcome to a breezy, brisky fall kind of day here at Ohio Stadium, and welcome to the Football Fever. I'm Dave Holmes, joined as always by Obi Stillwell and Kellyanne Stitz. We'll get Ben Buchanan and Jay Richardson back in the studio in just a minute. Guys, we're going to talk all about Grambling State today. An overmatched team, but a team packed with tradition and history. Some cool stories to tell over the next 60 minutes. But Obi, we do want to hit on Texas last week because you've got to feel pretty good coming off that Week 1 win over the Longhorns.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, Ohio State had 14 NFL drafts, had new offensive coordinator, a new defensive coordinator, and it was business as usual.
Yeah.
You know, Buckeyes handled business. There's a lot to be worked on, right? There's a lot of things that they can improve on, and I know we were all excited, especially in the beginning, like right after the game. But when you go back and you look, you see some areas of improvement that is needed. But exciting win, necessary win, exciting time in the shoot last week.
Yeah, statement win for the Buckeyes, and Ryan Day mentioned all week. It's a story. Everything that they want to get done this week, we should see today against Grambling State.
Yeah, we're looking for improvement today. It should happen when you're a 56-point favorite at home against Grambling State. And guys, it's a pivotal part of the schedule here because the big win over Texas, you survived, as Obi said, with all that turnover. And now back-to-back games to sharpen. You have this week against Grambling. Stitz, our Bobcat on set, but next week is another chance to kind of get things going before it turns for real, Obi, and they go on the road against Washington and open up that Big Ten schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? These games, you just want to come out of the game putting some more things in your package, offensive package, defensive package, but also coming out of these games healthy.
Yes.
Making sure that no one has any real serious injuries or bumps or bruises or what have you as you go into that Big Ten schedule.
And on top of that, building depth. Ryan Day mentioned that these next 2 weeks will be good to get more guys, more reps, especially before they open Big Ten play and open up the playbook for Julian Sayin today.
It is a brisk day. As I said, feels like football weather out here at the shoe. Meantime, the thermostat is always kept at a nice, calm 68 degrees, no wind. That's the forecast back in the studio, which is where we find Ben Buchanan and Jay Richardson. What's up, guys?
Hey, good to see you guys. Ben Buchanan here in studio with former Buckeye Jay Richardson. Jay, it's been 1 week now since the Bucks went horns down. They knocked off the #1 team in the country in the Texas Longhorns. How are you feeling, my man? You still riding that victory high?
Well, first of all,
today?
Dave's not wrong. The temperature in here is
sunny
a
and 68.
beautiful 68. I just adjusted it because it was a little bit warm. But I'm going to tell you right now, feeling pretty dang good about what's going on with these Buckeyes. And Ben, can we just talk about the last 7 games for Ohio State? I mean, going from Penn State, to that team up north, and then getting into the playoffs, and you got Tennessee, and you got Oregon, and you got Texas, and then you got the national championship against Notre Dame, and then you got Texas again as the opener. This football team deserves a Grambling today.
They've earned it.
They have earned a day of just let's just kind of get our guys out there, have some fun, and maybe take a deep breath, because last week against Texas, you're talking about a huge matchup, a lot of pressure, and the Buckeyes absolutely responded. They just did everything you want a great team to do. Played the run really, really strong. On critical downs, you're talking about 1 for 5 for Texas on 4th downs. You guys saw the huge goal line stand, and then you got to see Julian Sayin really operate from the pocket and show glimpses of what he can be in the future for this football team. But right here, I thought the statement of the entire game was this goal line stand, and then again, just continuing to make Arch Manning not know what the heck he's looking at. And he just looked like a fish out of water the entire game. It was a beautiful performance. Ryan Day, I thought, executed and called a very conservative, however, an extremely effective football game. He knew, I'm not here to put my guy at risk, talking about Julian Sayin. The most important thing we can do for this football team is win 1. 2, get some great experience reps for Julian against a top-tier defense, and make no mistake about it, that Texas defense is going to finish in the top 8. That was a really, really good program on the other side. But most importantly, you got a chance to get your feet into that hot water and see how Julian's going to respond when the live bullets are flying. And, man, did he do a fantastic job of just orchestrating the offense, not putting himself or his team in a bad situation. And then the Ohio State defense, led by Matt Patricia, put on an absolute clinic against a kid that everyone thought was going to be a Heisman frontrunner in Arch Manning. Beautiful week 1 for the Ohio State football Buckeyes.
You beat the #1 team in the country. That's a pretty good day in the office, no matter how you break it down. We're going to talk a lot about it here. All right, in the Atlas Butler defensive checkup, it was truly a lights-out performance from the Buckeye defense against Texas. Despite losing 8 starters, the Silver Bullets were stout in the middle, engineered an impressive no-fly zone in the secondary, and all of this was accomplished with a new defensive coordinator in Columbus. We're talking about Matt Patricia, making a statement in his first game as the Ohio State defensive coordinator, a statement not lost on the quarterback of the defense, Caleb Downs.
It was a very solid game, and we did the things that we needed to do to get the win. And I think Coach Patricia did a great job preparing us and everything like that. And I mean, you could tell it was different for him, because he ain't been in a college stadium in a minute. He's used to the pros. He was like, "Oh, it's loud in here." I was like, "It's whatever."
All right, Jay, there's a new sheriff in town. Matt Patricia replacing Jim Knowles as D coordinator, and he did not disappoint, as we've said. What do you like about Matt Patricia and what he's brought to this Silver Bullet defense for 2025?
Ben, first things first, I love his post-game quote about the loudness of the horseshoe. He goes, "Man, it was loud in there." You don't get that in the NFL. And I'm going to tell folks, played in the NFL myself, you don't realize just how amazing the Ohio Stadium crowd is until you get to the next level, and there's 50, 60,000. It's just not the same. But what Matt Patricia brought was high-level football knowledge, high-level football adjustments, and a high-level football scheme and game plan. And what you're going to see, and what you did see last Saturday, and what you'll continue to see, is the secondary, rolling coverages. I mean, disguising pre-snap. You're going to see Caleb Downs up by the line of scrimmage. Right before the ball snaps, he goes flying into the deep third, and then you see, everybody else just start spinning. And I think all afternoon long, Arch Manning was just not sure what he was looking at. Was it cover 3? Is it cover 2? Is this quarters? Is this single high? He doesn't know what he's looking at, and what that does is it slows the opposing quarterback's progressions down. It slows his hot read down. The quarterback has no idea where to go with the football, and then you get Arvell Reese getting on his horse, running over guards, running past tackles, and getting in there on sacks and just creating mayhem. But it just seemed like Arch was uncomfortable the entire football game, and there's Arvell Reese doing what he did, just dominating the football game. But it was all led by Matt Patricia, continuing to, as they call it in the league, spinning the gumballs, which means making all of those guys in the back end continue to change positions. And sometimes you think it's man coverage. And even pre-snap, you'll see Texas put guys in motion, and you'll see, Igbinosa or Jermaine Matthews running with the guy across the formation. Everyone's going, oh, it must be man coverage. All of a sudden the ball snaps, and they drop back into a short zone, and Arch thought he had a quick hitter, and now it's not there anymore, and he's lost in the sauce. And when you get that kind of performance from your defensive secondary, I came away with that game thinking two things. One, man, Matt Patricia is an absolute difference maker for this Ohio State Buckeyes defense. And two, this might be the best secondary in the entire country. They'll have chances to prove it every week, but if you're asking me, this is the best secondary in the country.
Words like swarming, suffocating, other ones we could think of. The Silver Bullets were certainly doing their thing last Saturday. Now, another person who had high praise for Matt Patricia was none other than Jay's favorite analyst of all time. He's known as the Mouth from the South, and he's also known as Paul Feinbaum.
What a crazy nickname.
Jay, he admitted the Bucs played great. He was dead wrong about Texas. Take a listen here.
You start to worry a little bit about your predictions when Arch has more commercials in the first quarter than he does completions. Ultimately, he was terrible. There's no getting around it. I believe Texas will be in the playoffs in December, and I think Arch Manning will learn from this. And I'm not saying that like a parent. He's not my son or grandson, although I wish he was. He will get better. He just simply got bamboozled by a much better defensive coordinator.
All right, Jay, two things here. One, it feels really good to see the Mouth from the South eat his words there. And two, we know there's always room for improvement. What do the Silver Bullets need to work on in today's game?
Just real quick, respect to Feinbaum for just admitting, you know what, you were absolutely insane for that take, saying that they were going to blow the Buckeyes out. That was a crazy take, by the way. Two, even crazier, wishing for Arch to be your grandson. Just strange stuff there. And then three, what you expect from the Buckeyes defense today, you kind of expect domination. After what you saw on film, what you're really looking at is a defense that's probably going to finish in the top 2 or 3 in the country. And if they can get a pass rush going, and I mean a real 4-man pass rush without having to blitz, that's something that they can work on today against Grambling, which I don't think they have premier left and right tackles and guards. I got to expect Bo Atkinson and some of those young Lions, Caden Curry, they're going to be ready to go today, and they want to put on a show. When I played and we were playing a team that we obviously outmatched, I always thought, it's time to get those stats, baby. It's time to get some sacks, some tackles for losses. So expect the defensive line to be roaring today.
So stat patter and hopefully get the young guys in to get some experience.
Absolutely.
It'll be a great day. Beautiful fall day at the Horseshoe today. All right, for more on these Silver Bullets and Matt Patricia, let's send things back out to Dave, Obi, and Kellyanne. Guys?
Yeah, guys, we saw an elite 11 was the Buckeyes defense, and mind you, they had to replace 8 starters from last year's national championship team. So we saw an elite level in Matt Patricia's debut. We also saw him add wrinkles to the defense. One of the guys he loves utilizing and his versatility is Caleb Downs. What did you like from his performance?
Oh yeah, Caleb Downs is special. I mean, they literally. You could see him at the nickelback, at the free safety, at strong safety. Like a Tampa 2, if you know that, middle linebacker where he protects the seams and he's actually strong enough, fast enough to actually react to the run and then also get back for the pass. I mean, there was a lot of simulated pressure that was causing Arch Manning problems. And then, many times when they brought the blitz, there was only 2 defensive ends. I mean, there's one. They were running a dime package with 6 defensive. A lot of confusion, but Caleb Downs is a very player. We're gonna miss him because he will be gone after this year. But we're gonna miss Caleb because he is a special player.
Yeah, he's athletic and he's super smart. That's the biggest takeaway for him too. He just sees everything. He's another coach on the field, as a lot of his teammates say. But another guy that Matt Patricia was utilizing his versatility was linebacker Arvell Reese. We saw him line up in different fronts. He was best when he was blitzing. He was terrorizing Arch Manning. He finished with 5 pressures and accounted for Ohio State's only sack. Of course, Matt Patricia loves to utilize his linebackers, and Arvell is having fun playing in Matt Patricia's defense.
I think it's just a lot more versatile. Like, we're doing a lot of different fronts and, like, just different stuff. I think it suits us well. Like, we got a bunch of guys who could play a bunch of different roles, so I think it suits us well.
Now, Arvo also mentioned in that presser that he felt he could have played faster. Now that's scary, guys.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because, they go by DBU, and we've seen what Brian Hartline has done with wide receivers over the past 8 seasons. But, Obi, I know you and I are old enough to remember a time when Chris Spielman or Mike Vrabel or A.J. Hawk or Andy Katzenmoyer, this was linebacker university for a long time, for about 2 decades. Where do you think Arvell Reese fits into this new era of Buckeye linebacker?
Well, you know what? I love the fact that they're just letting him play the game. I mean, he's 6'4", 243 pounds. I mean, this is a big, agile athlete, right? And he also plays with a level of intensity that, you know what, many times you don't see that level of intensity until they get a little more reps, maybe towards the tail end of the season. He came out on fire, and he's explosive, and he's smart, he's intelligent, and he gets to the ball with an attitude.
Yeah, and they were really mixing him up pre-snap, post-snap, giving the offense different reads last week. He's going to be causing havoc today against Grambling State. Well, we're going to talk about this matchup with Grambling because it's really cool how we got here. Coming up next on The Football Fever, we'll take you behind the scenes and show you what led to this historic matchup between the Buckeyes and an HBCU. That's coming up next when The Fever rolls on.
But playing Grambling State and thinking about the history of Grambling State with Eddie Robinson and the great tradition that they have.
Well, 2 storied college football programs are playing for the very moment, but it almost didn't happen. That's right, the Buckeyes were forced to shift gears to get the Tigers on their schedule for 2025. Ohio State was originally going to play UConn on October 18th this season, but both teams mutually agreed to cancel the football game, with OSU paying the Huskies a whopping $650,000 buyout to terminate the contract in that one. So in stepped Grambling. Not only does OSU get to play a program with rich history like Grambling, they also get to play them this week, which would have originally been a bye week, something Coach Ryan Day did not want for his football team at the time. Now, this game marks the 5th time the Buckeyes have played an FCS school and only the 2nd time they played an HBCU program. They played Youngstown State 3 times in 2007, 2008, and 2023. And they also played Florida A&M back in 2013. For more on this historic matchup, let's send things back out to the shoe to Dave, Obi, and Kellyanne. Guys.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys. Yeah, it's important to remember, Grambling State's place in college football history. And if there's one thing about Ryan Day's coaching staff, they love to pound that history home. And Larry Johnson this week, the defensive line coach, talked to his team all about the history of Eddie Robinson, the great Grambling State head coach who coached for decades there and had such a lineage, Obi. When you think about Grambling State and HBCUs, what does a match?
I think it's paying homage to a lot of the talented athletes that originated out of HBCUs when predominantly white universities were not allowing black athletes to play. HBCUs were welcoming that. Now, obviously, we've seen the migration of black athletes come into the predominantly white universities when winning became paramount over color, right? But at the same time, we cannot ever forget that we need to actually, as universities, Division I, Power 5 universities, always pay homage to the HBCUs from which you are really experiencing some of the most talented athletes that we've ever seen.
Yeah, and when you look at the team coming in today, they are outmatched. It's going to be Ohio State by a lot. And that's not just me saying it. If you talk to Grambling State's head coach, Mickey Joseph, he too understands what this game is going to be like.
We understand what we're getting into. We understand what's going to happen. We understand it's not balanced in the scholarships. It's not balanced. And what they have resources-wise, what we have resources-wise. But we all know why we're playing the game.
Knows a little bit about Ohio State, Kellyanne. He's not a stranger to the Big Ten.
Yeah, Mickey Joseph, he's very familiar with what happens in the Big Ten. Before taking the head coaching position at Grambling State, he was actually at Nebraska coaching the wide receivers and was the associate head coach. And then he was actually the interim head coach in 2022 and took over for Scott Frost, who was fired after 3 games. In his term as interim head coach, he went 3-6 in the 9 games. Those 3 of those losses were to ranked national championship team in 2019 led by Joe Burrow. Mickey was coaching the wide receivers like Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, so he knows what it's like to be a part of the #1 team in college football. Now today he'll be tasked with facing the top team in college football.
Win games like that, win a national championship on that level and not be good. We won one at LSU, who's running through people, and that's what this team's going to do this year. With the talent that they have on the field. But like I said, they're well coached. Coach Day does a great job with those players.
Joseph said the goal is to play a clean game today, guys, but more importantly, to come out healthy.
Yeah, and you look at the last time Ohio State hosted an HBCU here, it was Florida A&M. 76-0 was the final score, Obi. So again, we expect this thing to be a blowout, but you kind of touched on it earlier when we talked about Eddie Robinson. It's crazy to think that, some people right now watching this broadcast are old enough to remember a time when these players, black players, could not even play on a team. Eddie Robinson was coaching back there in the 50s. We're talking pre-civil rights. That's where the history of this program dates back to.
Yeah. It is amazing. A lot of times when we see some of the history, especially when it comes to civil rights or what have you, a lot of that was purposely put into a black and white picture. When though there were color pictures in television out there to try to act as if it was that far back. My mother, she's 77 years old. She remembers civil rights. She remembers not being able to drink out of a certain water fountain. She's told me about those situations. So when you look at the history of this game, and American history is always, not always, but many times have been played out on the track, right, or on the basketball court or on the football field. And I think that's what is amazing about our country, is that how we can actually be an example and we can show things how it should be, right, from bring in black athletes, but he had superior coaching in what he did, and I think from that aspect, it made predominantly white universities want some of those top athletes.
Yeah, and I think it's cool that they're going to play this game, and about a quarter mile down the road there is a statue of a guy named Jesse Owens, who did something at 1936 at the birth. Going to be a great game today.
And credit to the coaching staff and Larry Johnson to make sure that the guys were not lost on that history and that tradition that Grambling State brings in today. But one of the goals today is to create more explosive plays for Ryan Day. That includes an explosive run game. I talked to the guy who's going to help carry the load today. You'll see that interview next. You're watching the Football Fever. We'll be right back.
All right, in this edition of the Stanley Steamer improving the game, the Buckeyes absolutely need to tap into their explosive offensive potential. It's no secret that the Bucs did not generate a lot of offense versus Texas. Now, maybe it was the play calling, maybe it was the stout Texas defense, but either way, new quarterback Julian Sayin only threw for 126 yards and 1 touchdown in that one. And as we know, you need to score to win ball games in major college football, as they say. But this win was the exception and certainly not the standard or the rule for Ohio State. Recent history has not been kind to Ohio State teams that can't generate good offensive production. The last time we saw a similar offensive subpar performance was last year against that team up north. The Wolverines beating the Buckeyes 13-10 in that contest. Will Howard only threw for 175 yards and a touchdown while tossing 2 picks in the game. And on top of that, Travion Henderson and Quinshawn Judkins only combined for 67 yards on the ground in that forgettable contest versus that team up north. And who could forget about the extremely rough offensive showing at the Cotton Bowl against Missouri 2 years ago? The Buckeyes didn't even find the end zone in that one. 3. Quarterback Kyle McCord opted not to play in that game due to his pending transfer to Syracuse. Devin Brown got the start, but only passed for 20 yards before leaving injured, leaving Lincoln Keenholz to take over. And the bright lights were simply too bright at the time for the Buckeyes' current backup. He only threw for 86 yards, while Trey and Xavier Johnson had trouble running the football. For more on getting the wheels turning on the Buckeye running game, let's bring in Dave, Obi, and Kellyanne. Guys.
Yeah, you know, it's easy to forget already, even though it was 1 week ago, because that was a bottom 3 performance by a Ryan Day offense. Bottom 3, if you look at every single metric, it was last year to Michigan, the Ugly Cotton Bowl, and last week against Texas. Now, they beat the #1 team in the nation despite playing poor offensively, Obi. So let's look at the running game in particular. 2.3 yards per carry against the Longhorns. That is not good. That's not even average. That's bad. Okay, so are we going to look at this through scarlet-colored glasses and say they still found a way to win the game? But Ryan Day himself said we have a lot of things to improve on. Where do you come down on the running game last week?
Well, we always look at through scarlet-colored glasses.
I like
That's
that.
just how we do it here at the Football Fever. But we also, I have to be honest, right?
Yeah.
It was a poor performance on the ground game. But C.J. Donaldson, I mean, if you look at the running backs, I think he edged it out just a little bit over Peoples, because I like the way that he carried the ball. I like he was aggressive. I like that he fell forward, right? And then I also like that he got the yards that weren't there. And there were a lot of yards that weren't there that like he literally had to fight for. You know, and I'm interested with Grambling. I do expect 80 at least, maybe even 100 between both running backs. But I know you had an opportunity to speak with C.J. Donaldson this week. Let's hear from that.
Yeah, I talked to C.J. Donaldson. He was the first Buckeye to score. Their first touchdown was that 1-yard rushing touchdown. So I asked him how that felt to score at the Shoe for his first time in Scarlet and Gray.
It was electrifying, you know, just, you know, hearing like the fans go crazy, you know, throwing up the OH, and, you know, I'm hearing IO throughout the whole stadium. It was definitely electrifying out there.
Who was one of the first teammates to congratulate you?
Man, it was everybody, you know. We was all celebrating. When I score, we all score. When they score, we all score. So, you know, we just all celebrating. We always go celebrate with each other, you know. It was just amazing, you know, just to celebrate with those guys.
So only 77 rushing yards, though, from the running backs. How do you guys plan to ignite the running game moving forward? Is that a big focus in practice?
Yeah, just, you know, sticking to the little things. I think, you know, as a whole, you know, we were definitely, like, you know, not efficient enough. You know, we were bad with our eyes, you know. You know, we coach very hard, you know, so that's the thing. Like, you know, Coach Locke, he always emphasizes the little things, you know, like, you know, making sure you have your eyes in the right place, making sure you know, like, where the runs go fit at. So, you know, this week we just, you know, sticking to the little things, like focusing back on the fundamentals and, you know, sticking to the details.
Grambling. Larry Johnson spoke to the team about their former head coach Eddie Robinson's impact. What was just your takeaway from that conversation?
You know, he's a legendary coach. You know, he has an impact on a lot of kids. You know, he put like almost 200 players through the NFL. So, you know, just, you know, welcoming, you know, that environment into the Shoe, you know, it's gonna be exciting. You know, because I know they go play hard. You know, we go play hard. So it's gonna be, you know, a great matchup.
And CJ, for more fans to get to know you better, what are some hobbies? I know you don't have a lot of time, but what are some hobbies that you're interested in outside of football?
Besides me playing football, you go catch me at, I don't want to say it because they're going to kill my spots, man.
Uh-oh.
That's why I get my piece at. But where I be at the bowling alley 24/7.
Really?
If you ever see me, I'm be at the bowling alley. I wander around. Me and my little brother, we just go bowl. We do, you know, all day. Like, as soon as I get a free time, I'm at the bowling alley.
Really?
That's all I do.
How long have you been bowling for?
About 3 years. So when I was at West Virginia, a couple of my, you know, teammates, there's really nothing to do in West Virginia. So we just kind of like, man, all right, one day we just woke up and was like, all right, we're going to the bowling alley. We was all bad. Then we got like real good at it. So then we just like, all right, as soon as class over, hey, we got 25 minutes. All right, let's go get a game. So we just, you know, that's just something that just came like with me, you know, and I just love doing it.
Wow, CJ Donaldson, a good running back and also a good bowler as well. CJ, thank you so much.
Great bowler.
Excuse me, a great bowler. What's your game like, man?
I think the highest I've ever hit was like 240. Oh. I'm trying to get to 300. You know, my boy Trey, he at Kansas right now. You know, he a great bowler. Yeah, he one of the ones.
Hey, I'll say that's great running back and a great bowler, CJ Donaldson. Thank you so much for joining me and good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
Wow, who knew 240 is dealing on the
See
lanes?
my face on that? I said, whoa.
Wow, it's also a sign of the times, though, that for the second straight year, a transfer running back scored the first rushing touchdown. This year, it was C.J. Donaldson from West Virginia. Last year, Quinshon Judkins out of Ole Miss.
Now, C.J. carried the load last game against Texas, but we should be seeing more of James Peoples, Ryan Day Revens. They're going to use that two-back system like they did last year with Travion Henderson and Quinshon Judkins. And training camp, they gave themselves the nicknames Sonic and Knuckles. Now, we saw a lot of Knuckles last game, which should see more of Sonic today against Grambling State, guys. And the Buckeyes should crack 100 in rushing yards. This will be a good game to do that. Now, what we're all looking forward to as well in this one with Grambling State coming to town, the halftime performance. It'll be a battle of the bands, one that we're all going to be looking forward to. We'll talk more about that coming up on The Football Fever.
All right, time now to show off both you and your animals' Buckeye swag in this edition of the G&J Pepsi Fantastic Photo of the Week. Obviously, if we're fans of the Buckeyes, Jay, then our animals have to as well. I know you live for these cat photos, my man.
Jerseys.
Whether they like it or not, they're the fans as well.
The cat looks like a hostage right there, I'm not going to lie.
He doesn't look too happy, I don't know. As we take you live to the shoe this morning, things are pretty quiet right now. We're still just a few hours from kickoff, but it's shaping up to be a beautiful day for college football. A perfect 70 degrees once Ohio State and Grambling get underway in the historic Horseshoe. And for this game, it's not just a battle between two football teams, but also a battle between two iconic bands. That's right. Everyone knows Ohio State as the best damn band in the land, but Grambling's marching band has gained international recognition for their electrifying performances. We're talking everything from NBA All-Star games, Super Bowls, even presidential inaugurations. Now, OSU's marching band is known as Best Damn Band in the Land. Grambling's band has the nickname of simply Best Band in the Land. Ooh. So it's the little things there, you know?
Sounds like copyright infringement.
I guess so. Now, they've appeared in a record 6 Super Bowl halftime shows, including the first ever in 1967, but it's been a while since they've graced the big stage. The last time they appeared was Super Bowl 32 back in 1998, when they performed alongside Boyz II Men, Smokey Robinson, and Martha Reeves. Great performers there. Regardless, Grambling's head coach knows that each band will play a big part in today's football game.
Well, first of all, they got a great band, and we have a great band, and we're going to compete as a band.
Got to compete as a band. That's right. All right, Jay, who comes out on top in this battle of the bands?
Don't do that
Come on,
me.
you know. And then, do you have a favorite memory or tradition from the iconic Ohio State band?
Listen, the best damn band in the land is called that for a reason, and they are absolutely elite. My favorite, I don't know, there's tons of moments. I gotta say, when they did the iconic, Michael Jackson tribute, right, to the king of pop, by the way, for you young kids you don't know. And they moonwalked, as you see, right? You know how hard that is to do as a band? I actually have no idea because I've never played an instrument, nor amazing. But that's definitely something I'll look back on as probably one of the coolest moments. Who wins? Listen, man, HBCUs are known for their bands. I've been down there and seen Grambling's band before, and it is amazing. And the dancing and the rhythm, it's dope. And I don't want to pick one. Ben, don't put me on the spot. I love the best damn band in the land. Let me tell you something. Grambling ain't coming to play around for that battle of the bands. It's going to be serious.
Two great bands, as we know. I'll go for my favorite memory. I always remember week of the Team Up North, right? Normally it's on a Sunday. You're going to come and you're going to pair up with either a tuba player, trumpet, whatever, and they're going to walk Script, Ohio, which is really cool. Always enjoyed getting to know the great guys and girls in the band. But this right here, I remember this, Jay, 2006. I was here watching you guys. I was a fan and a recruit. The great Jack Nicklaus dotting the I. There's been so many iconic figures that have dotted the I for Script, Ohio. I'm a big golf fan. Love Tiger, love Jack. He's one of the greats. He's the legendary.
I was on the sideline for this game getting ready to play.
18 majors. I remember I was there watching it. Who knew we'd be friends to this day, man?
Right,
it's amazing how it works out like that. All right, for more on this battle of the bands, let's send things out to Dave, Obi, and Kellyanne at the Shoe. Guys?
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, we host the Football Fever live from the south end of Ohio Stadium, right next to Buckeye Grove. As we're speaking right now, you can hear the alumni band down there warming up and playing some tunes for the fans. I was out there in Buckeye Grove last night, guys, watching the actual Ohio State University marching band warm up, and there were Grambling fans sitting on the hillside watching them practice. You know they're in it for the music, Obi. They were loving it. So when you think about a memory of the Ohio State marching band, do you have anything fun that sticks out?
Yeah, you know what? I look at the militant way in which the marching band does their thing. And when you're down, I've seen people down on the field, and literally the band will run them over. I said, goodness gracious, no more of this, that the band are just a bunch of nerdy people. They're not. They're militant.
You woke up and chose violence as your favorite band?
Listen, I could not believe how aggressive and unapologetic they were for running these people over when they're in the way. Listen, my daughter, Joplin, we call her JoJo. Listen, she's on the fence with the band thing. I'm like, listen, no, you can be aggressive in the band. You can go do this in the band.
You can run somebody over.
You can run somebody over, and you don't have to apologize.
The guy with the sousaphone always has the right of way, Kellyanne. That's what we've learned. Do you have a more docile, non-violent band?
I don't know. Actually, I think I low-key chose violence too, because what stuck with me last year was like the ultimate trolling from the best damn band in the land. This was a day at the zoo against Purdue last year in early November, of course, before the game at the end of the month. And they decided to form like a bear and then it pooped on the Michigan flag. So that one really, because I was like, oh wow, they're really doing this right now, and it
really
made me
happening.
laugh. So ultimate trolling from them, and I'm sure some bulletin board material for the Wolverines.
Okay, so Obi chose violence for number 1. Kellyanne literally chose number 2.
What does that say about us?
As the only adult on set, actually I'm not an adult because you know what? I'm 43 years old and I love video games. And my favorite one was when they did a video game tribute and they had The Legend of Zelda and they actually had Link's horse, Epona. If you're a fan of the game, you know that name. If you're not, you think I'm a bigger loser than you did 2 minutes ago.
The nerds over here.
Nerd alert on set. I loved the video game, so when they did the tribute with the horse, I loved it. But you know, that's the thing. That's my opinion. If I'm being honest, Jay Richardson got it right. This is actually a trivia question. The moonwalk was untouchable.
100%.
Well, we're going to talk about actual football. I'm sure you'll love that coming up next year on the Football Fever. We're going to talk about Julian Sayin and how the Buckeyes might open up the playbook in the quarterback's second start under center. Stay with us.
All right, Jay, Julian Sayin's stats looked pretty pedestrian against Texas, but he still looked cool, calm, and collected. Plus, he got the win, most importantly.
Yeah.
Plus, those numbers are bound to explode today against Grambling, especially with the talent around him. Zone 6 is truly elite, as we know, and we can't forget about the receiving threats from the Buckeyes, tight ends, and the running backs.
Oh, yeah.
With that said, let's have a little fun. Here's a fun little exercise. We've built our perfect Ohio State wide receiver based on 4 metrics. We got speed, hands, route running, and perhaps the most important, swagger, my friend. You know that. The only catch here, we can only use former Buckeye receivers to make our monster. Jay, what type of beast did you create here? What did you cook up?
First things first, you got to be able to run, man. And I picked a guy that a lot of guys probably picked who can absolutely fly, and that is my former teammate, Teddy Ginn Jr. I've never seen a human, any land creature run as fast as Ted in a straight line. He used to make us all look silly in practice. He's just a special, special athlete. Next up, you got hands. Everyone overlooks Santonio Holmes when it comes to being an elite catcher of the football. Yeah. Let me tell you something. This guy won a Super Bowl MVP, and he did it with the back of the end zone catch from Big Ben there. Look at this catch. And when you go back and look at it in slow motion, you're like, oh, my goodness, how did he catch that? That won him a Super Bowl MVP. Look at the fingertips toe tips.
Unbelievable.
I mean, unbelievable catcher of the football, great ball skills. Next up, route running, the legend Emeka Egbuka. I'm telling you right now, this kid is one of the smoothest route runners in the history of Ohio State receivers, and I think Baker Mayfield and Tampa Bay Buccaneers are loving having him down there right now.
They got a good one.
They know they got a good one. And last but not least, the son of a legend and a legend himself, Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm old enough to have played against his daddy, but let me tell you something. When he wore those Louis Vuitton cleats,
That's some swag.
I'd never seen Louis V cleats on anybody, and it made headlines. And this was right before NIL was taken off, so everyone was going, how did he get Louis Vuitton cleats? I don't know, but it was probably the swaggiest pair of shoes I'd ever seen on a football field.
Look at those.
I mean, come on, man. Like, what are we doing? Look at the Cartier frames. Like, what are we doing? The kid had style.
The NIL era is here, my friend. Jay, you're about to make a comeback with those Louis V cleats. I can see you looking pretty sweet with those.
They can find them in size 14, 15. Maybe.
Okay, now that's good. I'll give you my list right here. We talk about my list for a top wide receiver. I got to go with Teddy Ginn as well. He is just different, man. You watch him run, the ground that he covers, I agree, just elite speed all the way around. When you look at number 7, hands, I'm going to go back a bit. Chris Carter.
Ooh, that's
this guy,
a good
I mean,
one.
come on, one of the best to ever do it at Ohio State. Went on to have a great career in the NFL with Randy Moss, the Vikings, etc. Chris Carter, can't forget about him as a legend. I agree with you. Emeka Egbuka, as far as a route runner, so smooth in and out of his breaks, just a tactical runner of the football, unbelievable. And swagger, I'm going to go with the current guy right now, Jeremiah Smith.
Oh.
This guy, you know, he has the orange mouthpiece. You know, he's throwing up the deuces when he's going in for the end zone. So
it's not fair. He's got NIL money, so
it's true.
He can look a whole lot swaggier than guys from our era.
Pretty good list. All right, and also got in on the fun. Guys, what did you create here?
All right, Obi, this is like those overpriced teddy bears at the mall. It's a Build-A-Buck. So who's your wide receiver? How would you break it down?
All right, I got it. Let me get it handled here. I got Terry Glenn's for hands. Rest in peace, my brother. Brookhaven product. And I got Joey Galloway for speed, unbelievable speed. Michael Thomas for routes. Yeah, don't forget him. And then Chris Carter for the swag. I got to give it to Chris Carter.
Well, my Build-A-Buckeye was very similar to Jay, so I'd like to see those two go head-to-head. I had Speed Ted Ginn Jr., hands, Jeremiah Smith. I was also between Marvin Harrison Jr. I just think about all those incredible catches he made at the shoe. Routes, Emeka, he is so I just took the words right out of my mouth. The Louis V. cleats, Marv, his fashion, and then, of course, what he did on the field.
I agree with Obi. Speed, man. Joey Galloway ran, but he ran so Ted Ginn could sprint. So I'm going to give Ted Ginn the speed category.
There you go.
Hands, Chris Carter. Man catches TDs like none other. Routes, everyone's sleeping on Terry McLaurin. I mean, if you ask any analytics nerd at the NFL level, he is top 10 in every single kind of route run at the NFL level. And swagger, David Boston. Do we not remember when he caught the Rose Bowl game-winning touchdown, the way he strutted in the end zone?
Did the robot.
And my man David Boston once threw fists with Charles Woodson. If you throw fists with Charles Woodson, you've got some Buckeye swagger. We got more Football Fever coming up after this.
It's a weak conference.
Well, he may have picked his first love to win the season opener, but Lee Corso gave us some solid bulletin board material by not picking the Buckeyes to make the Final Four of this year's college football playoffs. Instead, he has Notre Dame, Penn State, Clemson, and LSU making it. Now, keep in mind, Clemson and Notre Dame are already one-loss football teams. So, Jay, in our way too early playoff predictions here, do you agree with Corso, and who makes your Final Four?
Love you, Corso. You picked the Buckeyes to beat Texas, and that happened. Matter of fact, Corso's picks were all right last week, so love Coach Corso, but I got to disagree with the Final Four, my man. I got to start off with LSU. LSU, I got a feeling, is going to make a lot of noise in the SEC and will end up in the playoffs. And I think this team, because of their defense, can land them in one of those Final Four slots. Obviously, we know about Nussmeier as their quarterback. He'll be a top 5 pick, but they also have a great defense. When you have those two elements, you're going to be pretty dang good. And then Carson Beck, man, he was the steady hand that Miami needed as they beat Notre Dame last week. I really watched him closely, made some nice throws, a couple decent runs, but he did everything that football team needed. They also have a very solid defense. Look for Miami, to make some noise out of there in the ACC. I think they could end up. And then Penn State, is it finally time, for James Franklin to start to get something done and actually win some big ones? I think so. And then, of course, the Buckeyes, number 1 defense in the country, and just a plethora of offensive weapons. They're going to be in.
We'll just have to wait
and see.
Gotta do it. All right, stay with us. We'll hear from Dave, Kellyanne, and Obi one more time and give you our final thoughts ahead of kickoff. This is the Football Fever.
Time now for our Hyundai keys to the game. Run it, run it. Look, last week won't cut it. 2.3 yards a carry. Got to get that ground game going against Grambling. 2, be aggressive. Let's open it up. Julian Sayin had a conservative game plan last week, and I get it. This week, let's see what the arm can do. And 3, band together. Let's all be seated at halftime, because that's where the real show begins. Kellyanne Stitz, your final thoughts today as the Buckeyes take on Grambling State.
I'm excited to see Julian take some shots. I'm excited to see an explosive run game. And guys, we talked about the weather earlier. It's feeling like a nice fall day, and also kind of feeling like a shutout for the defense.
Oh, okay. Obi, what are you looking for today?
Well, you know what? Personality. Hard-nosed, tough, focused team. Focused on the goal, Big Ten championship and the national championship. Nothing will change.
Yeah, we can't wait for history today, guys. And HBCU at the shoe for just the second time. The Buckeyes and Grambling State at 3:30.
All right, great work, guys. Before we give our final thoughts here, it's time for the Prime Sportsbooks pick of the day. Jay, what Buckeyes are you looking at today in this game?
Well, you know what? I'll start on defense. It's hard not to look at Arvell Reese, man. The way that kid performed last week, I got to say, Reese going to get him 2 sacks today. I just got a feeling the way he was rushing the passer. And then Bo Atkinson really played very well, rushing the passer, a sack for him. And then JJ's looking to bounce back from those drops, give him 2+ touchdowns today.
I like that. I'll give a quick one here. Julian saying 3+ touchdowns in this game. Carnell Tate, his coming out party last game as well. For this season, 2+ touchdowns. I like it in this one. Remember, you must be 21 and over to play. Odds subject to change. And if you think you might have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, Jay, final thoughts heading into this Week 2 matchup.
Hey, Julian saying let it rip today. Ryan Day, take the leash off the kid. Let it rip. Do your thing. Go air it out. Let's have some fun. You got a great defense behind you. No big deal. Have some fun.
See some great bands. See some great football. Fall weather.
Yeah.
I'm here for it, my man. All right, that'll do it for us here on The Football Fever. The Buckeyes and Grambling kick it off at 3:30 over on BTN. Join us tonight for The Football Fever post-game show at 11. Until then, enjoy the game, everyone. Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.